Hello, I'm Mary Davidson. It's our community, and we're so pleased to have you with us. We have some lovely people that I'd like for you to meet. One of them is Dr. Bob Drummond. And Dr. Drummond is president and CEO of TLC for Children and Families. Now, having said that, it's the same organization, but TLC for Children and Families is now Kids TLC Inc.
Correct.
So we want you to know that although they've changed their name, it's a bigger and better organization. And with him, he has brought two friends of TLC, Brittany and Corey. And we're delighted to have you both.
Thank you.
We're going to talk to you, all three, about an organization that has been in our community, what, 40 years?
Almost 40 years now.
And I told you, giving myself away, I can remember when TLC first started, and it was simply a stopgap, if you will, for kids that were in extremis. And they didn't stay very long, and I don't know how much they got help, but it put a roof over their head and food in their stomach till you could figure out something that you might be able to do for them. Not true anymore.
No, it isn't. We have morphed into a pretty complex, large organization in which we will work with somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 kids this year in our various programs, providing emergency care all the way into long-term care.
But it's still, it's still emergency care, though. You still do that.
We still provide some emergency care, yes.
What is it, sort of stay, most people? Well, they stay, some of them a year.
Yeah, some will stay up to a year, some 2 days. It just depends on which program they come in, what their needs are, what their circumstances are, and we try to respond to whatever it is and provide that type of care.
Well, talk a little bit how it has the steps up over the last 40 years till today.
Sure. As you said earlier, we started out as just a simple emergency shelter working with a handful of children who could not find a place to go in the community. There were not foster care beds available. There weren't relative placements. And so we stepped in and, as you said, filled that gap for a few days to a couple of weeks.
And they weren't little either. They were still mid-teens, early teens.
Yes, when we first started, we just took the small ones, but as we grew, then we took up to the teenagers, and now we work all the way. We have a young man that's 20 years old on our campus right now. That's unusual, but whatever their needs are at their ages, we're there to respond to.
Do you still take real young ones?
Yes, we will take them as young as 6 days old from the hospital in foster care, all the way to, as I said, 20 years old.
I need to come rock.
Yes.
I like to do
Yes.
Well, I think that's... Do you have any babies now?
We have a couple fairly new babies in our foster care program, really young, both under a year, as I recall.
And they get spoiled.
They get spoiled, and they get a lot of, like you said, cuddle time, rocking time, a lot of hugs and kisses.
Because people like Corey go in and play with them.
Yes, exactly.
So you have really, year by year, day by day, week by week, whatever, have increased the offerings that TLC now, TLC for Kids, is able to make for children.
We indeed have. What our philosophy has been since the founding with the Johnson County Young Matrons is to respond to the unmet needs in our community. And so as our community has grown in the past almost 40 years, TLC has grown. As the needs have grown, then we have added programs, personnel, raised money, found resources to help the kids and the families as our community has changed dramatically in the past 40 years.
It's a tough job because the payroll grows exponentially as the...
It has. It's gone from a very, very small payroll to extremely large payroll with, as I said, almost 200 employees and working in the 7 different programs. And so it's a big challenge to every 2 weeks make that payroll and respond to the various needs of our kids and provide for them. But the support of the community, the support of our donors, the support of just a whole grouping of stakeholders has made the difference.
I'll tell you what I particularly like is the fact that you take kids of an age where most people throw them away.
Correct.
And nobody's a throwaway. No. Nobody.
Absolutely not.
And just because they fall on hard times doesn't mean they can't get up and walk.
Exactly.
And so that's what you do, is try to help them. And so, you know, 12, 13, 14, that's tough age. and so TLC has always taken those kids, and they do today.
Yes, we do.
So I want to emphasize that,
Yes.
because so many of the shelters of one kind or another, they take little ones. And once you get 7 or 8 years old, they want to get you moving. Because the teenage years are difficult, and it takes more people for less clients, and it's hard.
So true.
Yeah. So today, what are you doing today that is different from what you did last year?
Well, we are, as I said earlier, we are working toward meeting the unmet needs in our community. And a recent survey we did, talking to stakeholders, interviewing people in our community, have indicated there are some growing needs in the area of behavioral health, providing mental health needs.
Define that just a little bit.
One of the challenges we have in our community, in fact, it's the second largest health need in our community, is having effective and available mental health services for children and families in our community. A second great need is working with kids who have been diagnosed with autism spectrum. It's a neurobiological brain disorder, and there are not hardly any services available for those children and those families in our community.
Well, and I got to tell you that some of the ones that are available are not very nice. They're really not.
Yeah, we have been working with some very strong stakeholders: University of Kansas Lawrence, University of Kansas Medical Center, all the Johnson County school districts, and many other professionals have consulted with us, and so we believe we put together a very strategic plan to help meet those needs with excellent, high-quality services.
Well, and I think let's pull out a thread here. The operative word here is family.
Yes.
Because, you know, when you have a child that is distressed in any way, the whole family is distressed.
Exactly right.
And you cannot just work with the child. You have to work with the family, if there is a family.
Yes.
And if there isn't a family, then you can do what you need to do.
So very true.
But I think that the part of what you do is you're the CEO of TLC for Kids, but you're also on the board here at the Johnson County Community College. And I think that helps too, because it provides you and your older youngsters with a seamless garment, because you can guide them and the college can guide them too in the right direction. I would like to take a moment and talk to 2 success stories from TLC, and I think it's so important. And you know, you expect little guys to come in. These are not little guys, these are big guys. And Brittany is 17. And Corey is 20. And Corey has graduated from TLC, and Brittany has about a year to go. October.
No, I have
October. Yes, October. Because you will be 18 in October. Now, what did you find when you came to TLC and you needed assistance?
Yeah, when I first got there, I'm not going to lie, I didn't want to be there. I didn't think that staff really cared about you. They weren't going to help you in any way, shape, or form. They were just like everybody else. And I didn't have any luck at my other placements. But as time went, they made sure I got into a good school. They are there. I can go and talk to them and feel comfortable and let them know anything that's going on.
Nobody's judgmental.
No, they're not, and they don't play this favoritism game. They're there to help you with anything. They got me into therapy. I got a mentor. They make sure I go to the dentist, eye doctor.
They don't want you to lose your teeth, Brittany.
If I wasn't there, none of that would be happening. So
none of that would be happening. That's exactly right. And I think, just to pull a few things out that you're saying, first of all, they established a trusting relationship with you, because you know, when people have had trouble, what you said, they're just like, you thought they'd be just like everybody else and not willing to help. But when you've had trouble, that's what you think, because that's the experience that you've had. So it takes a while to figure out that these people are there to help you. Got you into a good school, and I happen to know that you're doing very well.
Yes, 4.0. So far, anyway.
Well, and see, a 4.0 is wonderful. Never thought you'd do that either, I'll bet.
Oh, no. I mean, I used to way back in the day get A's and B's, but I never had a 4.0.
Okay. Wonderful. It is. What do you want to do with your life? I mean, you'll be 18. What happens when you're 18? I think that's important.
When I'm 18, there's actually a Tier 3 program through TLC that I'm going to do. They're going to help me get my apartment, which I kind of got it picked out already. They help me furnish it. They help me pay rent for a little while. They come check on me. You know, if I need anything, they're there.
So they don't just drop you in the middle of the street.
Oh, no.
But you see, now Corey is a little bit ahead of you, and he has already moved into his own apartment. So you were at TLC how long?
About almost a year ago.
Okay, and you were there for about a year.
Yes.
So when you came, were you sure that that was not a good place for you to be?
Yeah, it's same with her. I really did not think it was going to help very much. I thought it was just going to be a program where I wanted, I'd tell you the truth, I wanted to be at home. And I thought maybe being at home would help. It would have worked better. But I realized once I was there that it was actually a really good thing. Really, really good thing.
Sometimes, don't you think it helps? And everybody wants to go home. I mean, that everybody does. But don't you think sometimes the situation is such where if you step back from home a little bit and kind of restart your life, it's helpful? Brittany, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I know if I went back home, everything that I worked for would be down the drain. Like, I do, don't get me wrong, I want to go home with my family.
I understand
But
that.
it's time to, you know, do things on my own, grow up, stay away from all that trouble that's back at home.
That's right. But see, both of you are smart enough to understand that there's trouble back home and that you need to step back from that trouble and learn to be your own person. Do you still think that? You don't think home is the best place anymore?
No, I needed to grow up. Yeah. And in the best way, the program was great because I didn't know exactly how to grow up, and I didn't know all the things that I needed. Like I didn't know how to budget. I didn't know how to do any of those adult things. And so what the program did was help me learn those things, and it helped me learn those things. And so when I was done with the program, I knew I was ready to be out there. Not exactly ready. Exactly, I have a mentor that helped me, that's helping me still while I'm out there in the world.
How does she help you?
Well, we at least talk. We talk like every other day, like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I tell her what my issues are, and she helps me. And then sometimes on the weekends we meet, and anything that I need, she helps me with and gives me advice.
But the whole idea is to teach you to help yourself.
Yeah.
See, and that's why TLC is so important, because they don't make a permanent fixture of you that are depending on somebody else. They teach you how to depend on yourself. And I would guess that, Dr. Drummond, that structure and standards are two important words at TLC.
Absolutely.
Talk about that just a little bit.
Well, as has been talked about here, we work very hard to help the young people begin to understand the challenges of responsibilities, but the gratification of being responsible and the success that comes from that. And both of these young people here have experienced that. They've experienced that there are real challenges in getting up in the morning and being on time and going to school.
But nobody's ever said to them, this is how we do things.
Not as much as they should have. And now that they've learned that, they've both found really great success. And we are so proud of them, so happy of them.
But I need to ask you, you know, you can say, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do that. That's not the way to do it either. So in order to establish standards and structure in your life, how do they do that? Brittany, how did they go about helping you? I mean, you didn't really want to be helped when you got there.
Oh, no, I sure didn't. They hold you accountable for everything you do, whether it's negative or positive. If it's positive, they're like, you know, hey, you know, they tell you how proud of you they are. I didn't hear much of that growing up.
I'm sure not.
So, you know, the more they tell you, you know, you're doing really good, I'm really proud of you, it just motivates you more to be like, hey, you know, I can keep
I'm not
doing
so
this,
bad
and
after all.
Yeah.
See, I think that the issue really is low self-esteem too, because you don't think much of yourself when nobody thinks much of you. So in that way, and if you do something that's not positive, Corey, what do you do? How do they handle that?
Not if it's not positive. Well, there's it's been a year, so give
Oh,
me.
you've forgotten.
No, I just can't remember. I was not a very bad kid, so I wasn't punished very often. So I have to think for a second here. I think you have privileges. You wouldn't be able to watch TV, play video games, be on the computer. That would be one of the things that if you were bad, that they would take those away. And then you would have to, if I remember right, I think you had to be in your room. Is that right? Yeah. If you're if you get in trouble, if you are in big trouble, you have to stay in your room. And then the stuff that you have, like if you have video games in your room or TV, that gets taken away if it's been really
Well, what
bad.
you're really saying is that nobody screams at you, nobody tells you you're awful.
No.
They just say, you know, you haven't met the expectation. So we have to remind you what that expectation is. So it's a system of reinforcement and reminding with, you know, the old adage, you can catch more flies with honey than you can with vinegar. And I think that probably is the way TLC operates. Is that not true,
Yes,
Doctor?
absolutely.
And I have to tell you that Miss Corey is 17 years old.
Yeah, Brittany.
And what?
I said Brittany.
I mean, Brittany is I looked at him and said, Brittany is 17 years old. She worked 2 jobs this summer, and I would venture to say she saved her money.
Yeah, I did. I pay a lot of bills.
See?
So
Yeah.
other than that, I didn't.
But at 17, Brittany is responsible for herself. She has 2 jobs, and she is going to move out. You know, that is possibly a traumatic experience. At 18 years old, they say, hey, you are now responsible. So they don't leave you alone. You see, Corey says they check on him 2 or 3 times a week. They don't just let you go. So many kids are out on the street at 18 and they don't know what to do. They have no support system. They have no money. They have very little education, and they don't know what to do. And it's a horrible feeling. So who owns these apartments? How do you find an apartment for them?
Our staff work with different apartment
I
complexes,
see.
and we have some favored ones. And of course, the youth are very much involved in choosing them and making sure it fits their taste, that it's close to transportation and school and different things like that.
Well, I just, I can't tell you how important TLC is to the community.
Thank you.
Because it serves a purpose that really, you know, there are a lot of shelters and that kind of thing, but I don't think there's any other organization that's exactly like TLC. There's not a lot of overlap is really what I'm saying.
Correct. We provide programs to children and families that many organizations don't, and so we fill in those gaps again. We have some programs that are similar to others, but not very many. Most of them are the programs that others aren't providing, in which there are dramatic needs in our community for.
And where does your money come from to meet that rather fat payroll?
Well, we get some government support through the state, federal,
Yes.
local, county governments, but we have to raise about $2.5 million a year on our own through grants, fundraising, special events, some of which you've been involved in.
I have.
And that helps us to be able to provide the services that these youth need.
I have to tell you that every year TLC for Kids has what we call Power with a Purpose, and we're all women. And we have a wonderful event, and we all contribute, and the money that's made with Power with a Purpose goes to, usually it goes to a new program,
Yes.
probably the autism program this year, I don't know, but usually it goes to a new program. So I guess I would say if you have any thought about wanting to help, either with your time or your money or whatever, Dr. Drummond would love to hear from you. So I think it would be a wonderful way to use your time to help others at TLC. Now I have to ask the two of you, what are you going to do when you get to be 18 and out of high school?
Well, I graduate high school in December, and I'm going to go straight to JUCO in January.
So Johnson County Community College is going to accept you, and Corey is going to be at Johnson County Community College. You were there.
Yeah, for a couple of years.
Yeah. And you're coming back, and we're going to find out why in just a minute. But what do you want to do?
I want to go in the biology or science if you have maybe marine biology or something with genetics, find out how that
Well, genetics is a wonderful field today because it is literally exploding. And they talk about mapping the genetic makeup of animals and people, and the more you can help them find out, genetic research is extremely important. So set your goals high and go get them, girl.
I'm trying. That's what I want to do. So.
Well, you won't, because they're right behind you pushing.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Corey, what are you going to do?
I want to be a biotech technician. And
And tell me what that does.
Well, basically it's helping a scientist and making the scientist's life a lot easier. Like setting up the experiments and cleaning up and getting samples ready for the scientist, working with the scientist closely, and basically making his or her life a lot easier.
So you're literally a lab technician.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful, and you can do that at the college. You can take the science courses that you need, and so can Brittany, and be ready to go any place you want to go. After you get through here, you can go any place you want to go. I was just talking to somebody the other day who has a child that is going to the community college, and I said, she does not live in this county, and I said, whatever it costs you, go to Johnson County Community College. It's the best. It truly is. And I think that the education that one receives here is second to none, truly. And with people like Dr. Drummond on the board, he sees to it that the policy and the direction is always onward and upward, excelsior.
Yes.
And it's true. And the same thing goes for you. I think that everything that you said to me indicates that people have said to you, you can do anything you want to do. I said to Brittany, she works in a store that sells clothing, shoes, and that kind of thing. And I said, well, they have fashion merchandising. And she said, what'd you tell me?
I had no idea.
You had no idea. That's right. And it kind of came to her that this is something that she's done well in school. You've had a chance to look around, and you've made a decision. Corey didn't know what he wanted to do either. And that's why you're coming back again. To pick up those science. What is it you do to them? Because they're all interested in science things.
We help them to reach their potential.
That's right. See, be the best that you can be. Whoever thought of that for the Army needs a raise in pay, because truly be the very best that you can be. And I just think there is nothing like it. How many kids are at TLC now?
We have nearly 100 kids that we're working with on campus, and several thousand kids that we work with.
They're kind of in and out.
Yes. We have community-based programs that work in the community. They work with women and children involved in domestic violence, truancy program, a youth crisis program that works with children and families in crisis. And then we have a program called Street Outreach Services, which work with teenagers who are homeless on the streets of Johnson County.
How many are there? I mean, people say, this is Johnson County. Nobody's homeless.
Tonight, there would be hundreds of kids on the streets, Johnson County.
That have no place to go, or that the place they have to go is so bad they don't want to go back.
They've either run away because of abuse or neglect, alcoholism, drug abuse going on in the home, sexual abuse, or they've been pushed out because there's family circumstances that suggest that it was not good for them to be there.
How do you get them? How do they come to you?
We go to them. We will go.
You ride around the street?
We have a SUV. We're out on the streets. We go to places where we know they hang out, malls, theaters, coffee houses. Whenever there's a concert somewhere, we're there, and we have identification badges and special shirts, and they recognize us, and they literally come up to us.
They do. I was going to ask you if they tended to run away from you or run toward you.
They come up toward us.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I always think, gosh, it's enough to have trouble. Is that we all have troubles as we get older, and it's so sad to see kids have trouble so young.
Yes.
And sometimes they cannot rise above it. But the secret is taking charge of your own life. Yeah. How long were you at TLC before that dawned on you?
Oh, Lord. It took me a good 6-7 months to realize everything that I do now.
Was it slow? The realization slow? Or?
Yeah, it just like slowly came to me. So I'm glad it did, though.
Me too. You're not the same person you were a year ago.
Oh, no. I should have been dead a year ago.
See? And you're not. Not only are you not dead, you're really doing well.
Yeah.
I always think about the phoenix, you know, that rose
Yes.
from his own ashes, and it's true. It's
Yep.
possible. It's possible. I always think about Weight Watchers. And Weight Watchers says, you know, you can say you're fat because your mother was fat, your father was fat, and your grandmother was fat, and therefore I'm fat and there's nothing I can do about it. The other side of the coin, they say, is to say, I'm fat because I eat too much. And at that point, you've taken charge of your life. And you said, I'm in trouble, but I can get out of this. I can do better. And I want to. How long were you there before that hit you?
Well, not nearly as long, but for about a month. It was a month before I realized that where I was and what I was doing was the right thing to do.
And you were
being in
better
the
off
program.
there. Yeah. It's going to be kind of hard to leave, isn't it?
I'm still going to come visit.
Are you?
Yeah, and I'm still going to call them, and I'm going to keep in touch for a long time.
Well, they'll find you, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they'll know where I'm at, so. And I'll have a therapist and a mentor that I'll continue seeing.
The same one.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think that's part of the key, too, because it doesn't change much?
Continuity.
Continuity in their life is very important. Is that on purpose done?
Yes, it gives our youth predictability, gives them somebody they can develop a long-term trusting relationship with, and the ultimate outcome we hope is for them to develop a sense of hope and opportunity in their lives. And we have 2 young people here who have absolutely done that, and they are reaching for that potential, and they're beginning to experience a lot of success. And that success does breed more success, and we're so proud of that.
And you know, you've been in business 40 years, so you have been able to track some of these kids.
Yes, we have.
And I'm sure most of them are substantial people.
They are. We've got one of our youth who graduated from TLC in the 90s and went on and became an executive in a local company here. She adopted 3 children with her husband, and she's on our board now. And she's a story of, not unlike the 2 here, who didn't quite know where she was going to go in life, but she caught a glimpse of that at TLC, and she grabbed a hold of it, and now she's a highly successful businesswoman, mother, and human being.
What better could you say?
That's a home run.
Congratulations, Corey. Congratulations, Brittany.
Thank you.
You've done well. You have done well, both of you.
Thank you.
And you keep right on doing well, and you keep working.
I will.
You know, Emily Dickinson said, we dwell in the realm of possibility. And that really is what Kids TLC, Inc. does for the young people that cross the threshold of their facility. They allow them to dwell in the realm of possibility. And I would say thank you so much, Dr. Drummond, for coming.
Thank you.
TLC is, I'm sure, fortunate to have you. I'm sure they know that. And Johnson County Community College is very fortunate to have you on their board. Thank you, Brittany, for coming. Thank you, Corey, for coming.
Thanks.
And you keep right on going.
I will.
Right down the yellow brick road.
Yep.
Thank you. It's our community. And I'm delighted that you're with us. I'll see you soon again.